We've gotten together, we've talked about how we arrived at this, why. Let's talk about the name and the theme, because that's what I keep getting asked. What's the theme? And I think it's a kind of a non-theme, but I'll let you kick off, because you have to probably think about this a lot more than me, because this has been in my mind for many years, the generalization concept, right?
So when you came with the Generalists, and this is the name of the podcast, I didn't even need to think, I think, more than 30 seconds. Yeah, you said, I said, oh, sounds good. I don't know if you remember.
Yeah.
I said, sounds good. Why? Because I was struggling. Most of my life, people say, Raz, so many things. What do you specialize in? I specialize in cybersecurity, but I can wear a hat of...
What is your first thing you worked on in Israel? Because you talked about this when we had dinner a few weeks back, which was new to me. The food thing, right?
Yeah, my first company.
Yes.
Yeah,
just say what that is real quick. That hits the nail on the head right away for, of course you're a generalist. You weren't even doing anything close to deep tech, right?
Yeah. So it was...
I have an F&B stint in my life too, so I always think this is funny, right?
Yeah. So it was my first company. It's called Wise Bar. The product was providing actually a sensors to put on alcohol bottles, and then it was transmit from the bottle to the point of sale, telling you how much alcohol was served, and then in the end of the day, you can improve your inventory. By data analytics. It was manual. Just taking all the prints from the point of sale, but was my specialty. My customer were bars, hotels, restaurants. I did B2B.
This was right out of college? This was the first thing?
It was parallel to college, because in Israel, you go into the army.
Oh, okay.
Then you do a trip.
Same Singapore,
trip, and then you come back, and then I opened this business. By the way, it was envisioned just by living in Canada. I was living in a different country, in Montreal, for a few months, and then I saw the problem, came to Israel, saw the potential. It's like a mini, generalist.
Yes. Because I think one of the things we talked about is it clicked on for you. That's actually what you are, even if you had never labeled as such.
I never labeled it that. I had a debate a few years back with one of my colleagues, and he said, Raz, some people, they say they are jack of all trades. For me, they are master of none. And we had a very tough debate, because he didn't speak about Raz, but he was talking about and referring to other people that they think they can do everything, but they actually cannot do nothing. And I was like thinking about myself, and I said, no, I have like different type of skills, but when I take them all together with my core competence, which is cybersecurity, I think this is my superpower. Generalism. Just thinking back of the day, the traditional mind is, let's have one thing that we master on. We master in fixing air conditioning. We master in recording, like this guy over there. Maybe you're gonna have 1 to 2 jobs your entire career. But in the past 2 decades, doesn't work that way. You have to know few different things. You have to have different type of skills, especially now with the AI adoption. You cannot stay behind. You can, but it doesn't make sure you're gonna have the career that you are.
And I think if you look at any like successful large CEO, they're also doing this. They're generally, because they have to know some business skills, some technical skills, community. So it's more common than people think. I think for myself, I realized I got this from my dad, but my dad is mechanically minded, or maybe I'm more tech, but that's also just a sign of the times. But my dad, I think, I don't even know if he trained per se as a mechanic, but he also owned a car dealership, and he was a mechanic, and he could fix cars. He could fix motorcycles. He also would build our first house. He would fix the air conditioner, the generator.
He's a fixer.
Or make furniture or whatever. He was mechanically minded, never really professionally trained at anything, but could repair or build or create practically anything. In our life, we've lived in a place for a long time without electricity, and it was generators and solar and batteries. Wow. But we could still plug things into the wall because he had built it all like that. But I remember the first extent of his generalism stopped when we ordered a TRS-80 computer. So those are the old Radio Shack TRS-80s, the silver boxes. Yeah. I remember it was either that or something we'd bought, the Commodore, where Dad had brought it home. And I always, thank God my parents spent money on computers. This is when they were expensive. And he had it in the box and it was, hey, don't touch this until I come home from work to set it up. And I think me and my brothers were like, he doesn't know how to set this up. And we just tore into the box and had it all running by the afternoon when my dad came home. And then that started this tech versus mechanical thing in our lives where obviously, but I actually had to build my first car because the way my dad gave me a car was he dropped a Volkswagen that came from the wrecking thing into the driveway when I was like 15. He's like, your first car. Now you're going to have to finish building it, but there's your car. Enough of a mechanic to be dangerous, but realize I don't really enjoy it per se. I think all my life, and I've home studied, I didn't graduate from college or university. I've always had to do something like this to, let's say, pay the bills and put food on the table, for lack of a better concept. But it was when I read a book called Range by David Epstein that I think I read it when it came out. Right when it came out, so I'm probably already in my 40s or something. It just jumped out at me that somebody had described the way I've lived and thought about things, which is, no, I could do anything I put my mind to as long as it's in the wheelhouse of my capabilities. And that's why I've always loved startups and scale-ups, because you're never really doing any one role. You're always having to like either job rotation or solve other problems. That I finally read something that described how I feel and maybe how I've always lived or operated, but never thought that it was okay or that it was actually celebrated. So when I read that book, it was just like, and then you read about these famous people who, like, I think that one of the best examples is Federer, whose first sport is not tennis, I believe, and who's actually good at many other sports, but he got really good at tennis and stuck with it. But there was a time, I think, in his early years where his parents he was doing other sports and there was a battle for which sport he would focus on. And this is an example in the book of even the people that you think might be specialists actually got there by doing lots of things. And then they found something they excelled at or got really good at. So this for me was always been like a mantra. And you know how people run around and say, I'm deep tech.
Yeah.
I would always say I'm deep generalist because I just was trying to play on the...
And it's a good thing.
I go deep on generalism and I like it. And so for me, the name always popped. And I think it also gives us the range of motion around who we talk to and what we talk about, that we're trying to learn from these people. And we're trying to learn from how generalism has helped people and how maybe even some people haven't considered it, but maybe that's who they are. And I think it was one of our coffees where I think I saw the light bulb turn on top of your head where you went, that's actually me, but I never called myself that. And I'm like, yeah, but that's what you are. Like, so come on, first startup, food. Of course, as you're a generalist. Like,
I heard today an interview, random interview in a podcast. Surprise. I have my 40 minutes every day with different podcasts. And the guy said, he's a CEO of a startup. I said, what's special about you? The interviewer asked him. And he said, I'm a problem solver. So I thought about it and I said, this is the action of generalist. Yeah?
Problem solving.
Problem solving. This is like the definition. Who are you? I'm a generalist. I can manage a company. I used to be an engineer. I used to be in product. Now I need to take a look at sales, customer success, other things. But he said, what I know how to do, I know how to be a problem solver. I can ask the question. So if you can, I think, I'm just running into my head, your definition is generalist. What the action you do, I know to solve problems.
Yeah. And it's almost, I go back to that, one of the core AWS leadership principles I still love is just working backwards. And that's that, right? Oh, that's the problem. Let me solve it. And nothing else really matters other than honing in on it and working backwards to solve it. And generally, in a lot of complex problems, you will cross a bunch of specialties to get there. But it's just
agile.
Just a core competency, right? I think everybody's got the gist here. I think our plans are to try to get to where we're posting every couple of weeks. That's our plan.
Yeah.
Always to have a guest and always to have us all live. We may break that rule from time to time, schedule permitting, but we're going to try to stick to that. We're also considering, I think you've done this a little bit yourself already. One is potentially some live event podcasting, which we think we can do here, where we'll be in the front of the room with a guest and have an audience and take questions. So that's one of the things we're going to explore as we get better at this.
Yeah.
The other thing we're probably going to explore is some sort of mini event workshop around particular things that we can help people with. Chances are paid event type of workshop thing as a way for us to kind of fund some of this work we're doing. Because as much as we're a generalist, we know that there's some specialist subjects to go deep with and share with people from our combined experiences.
Triple click.
I think the main thing is we're here to try to make this work to keep doing it and to get very consistent and to stay on this track that we have of inviting people, going through and learning from them and publishing this stuff, and hopefully learning from publishing and people talking to us.